All right, so in the last video, we took some data and we created the frequency distribution table. Okay, this was it. And with that information, with those numbers, we can create some graphs. The two that we're going to discuss in this section are histograms and frequency polygons. Now, I'll also mention pie charts. I'm not going to create one, but some of the homework includes pie charts. Most of us can sort of read those, but we will look at them. We just won't create them for the notes. All right, so the first one is a histogram. Now, a histogram looks like a bar graph, and the book even calls it a bar graph. It's not really a bar graph. But you know, he calls it a bar graph, the author, so we'll use that terminology. But really, what we're creating are these rectangles. And these rectangles will be such that the horizontal distance, or the horizontal axis, I'll show you what I'm talking about. So this horizontal axis will represent the left column, or the class width, and then the vertical height of each rectangle that we're going to make, which looks like a bar graph, will be, oh, I have something double, that's wrong. Oh, this is correct. This is the class width, that's the horizontal axis. The vertical height represents the frequency. So that's, just scratch that out. Okay. Now, I don't have anything labeled on my graph. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you the way that we should do this. When I create my histogram, the bars touch, the rectangles touch. If you have a bar graph, then generally those do not touch, and the things on the bottom are categories and can be mixed around. But in a histogram, we put the numbers just like this, and they should be in this order. Okay. So how do we figure out what goes where? Well, I could start at 0. The book does some weird little notation, basically saying we don't really care about anything until we get to around 40. Okay, so I need the number that's in the middle of 41 to 45. So to do that, I will just write these out. 41, 42, 43, 44, 45. So the number that's in the middle, 43, will be the middle of my histogram, or of my rectangle. And then on each edge, 41 to 45, is going to be the other side of the rectangle. Okay, so let me go ahead and show you this first rectangle. So between 41 to 45, the frequency is 2. Now, I haven't touched on the vertical distance yet. I can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 15, because that's my max. I could separate this into 5s or 2s. I think I'm going to separate this into 3s, I guess. It doesn't matter. But notice I got 3 and 9, 9, 15. So these numbers are pretty nice. So I do 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. I could have even spread it out more because I have like more real estate there. All right, so between 41 to 45, which I'm going to create a rectangle for you in a second, it is only 2. So it's going to be about here. Okay, this will not be exact. I thought about, oh, that's even too high, that was about 3. I thought about doing this for you on Excel, but then I decided not to, since most of you wouldn't be using Excel in the homework anyway. So this is our first, that's our first rectangle. Now my next one is between 46 and 9. Okay, now technically what I should do is these should touch. Let's find, in fact, I'm only, just to make this whole thing look good, I'm only going to label my middle one, because this really is going up to the 46 or meeting at 45.5. So what's my middle number between 46 and 50? 46, 47, 48. This one is going to be 48. All right. And I'll show you something else you might see in the book. Now they just put this middle number. Some will put the whole class width, but they just put the middle number for you. So the next one is 9. I've got 9 labeled right there. So there's a rectangle. Here's the other part of the rectangle. This is not perfect, but again, I'm not using graph paper. The next class is 51 to 55, so that should be 53. I'm just taking the middle number of each class. And that one goes up to 15, so I go all the way up to 15. The good news, I think we're back. Okay, so I'm not sure what you missed. My phone got a low battery or something. Not sure what you missed, but all we have to do is label the kind of middle of each class. Our rectangles are going to touch. Go back to 9. Let's see, that would be 58. 58. And since these are the same, I'm just going to kind of go straight across here. Let's see, and then, oh, I'm probably going to have to extend my graph here, but that's fine. The next one is 61 to 65, so this would be 63. We'll extend that. That was 7, so that's between here, closer to the 6. Oh, now what I was saying is the good news is you are not going to have to construct these by hand. You are going to get to use my math lab, and so it will have this for you. 66 to 70, 3, 68. 3 is right here. So I need to label this. I told you what it was. But this is our class width from the bottom. So that's our age. And then this number here, you can just label it as frequency. So this is our histogram. Now, notice the rectangles touch, opposed to a bar graph. Okay, the next term is a frequency polygon. And the book basically says the easiest way to make the frequency polygon is to take your histogram. We're going to draw points in the middle on the top of each rectangle and connect those with line segments. Okay? So if you were copying that, I probably took it away too fast. So I'm going to do that in red, and then on the next graph, I will do it by itself. The frequency polygon means that there's no curvature, it's just straight line segments. Okay, so let me go ahead and I'm going to label this one the same way: 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. I'm actually not ready to come down here yet. I'm going to show you how to do the frequency polygon from the histogram. I just go to the top of each rectangle. Okay, and we're going to just connect these points. Now, it shouldn't actually make a very nice straight line. This is not a straight line. It's like two different line segments. You'll see it better, I think, on the next one. All right, so that's easy enough. Then they say, the book says to tie down. What that means is that's 41. This guy would be 38. This guy would be 73. So tie down means you just go to the next one and go to 0. And at the end of the day, it's called a frequency polygon because this is a polygon. If you can somehow imagine, well, maybe we'll go ahead and just do it down here and we can see it. But this makes a polygon. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's an octagon. Yeah, it's an octagon. That's what they mean, frequency polygon. All right, so I'm going to just transfer that in red down here. These numbers are 38, 43, 40. Well, I can do this. Come straight down. A little messy, so I'm just going to use my graph. I'm just being vertically straight down. So that one was 48. This one is 53. This one is 58. This one is 63. 68. And 73. So that's all the ages. This is the frequency. So the only ones I need are these. The others were some mistakes as I was doing that. Okay. So we tied down at 38. 43 was 2. I could either look at the numbers on the histogram or back at my table. 48 was 9. 53 was 15. 58 was 9. 63 was 7. Oh, I forgot to put the 68 right here. 68 was 3, and then 73 was our tie down. So my frequency polygon without the histogram would look like this. The book, the homework does both. Sometimes there's a histogram living in there, sometimes there's not. tie down at 70 degrees. So again, you get to look at the homework. You won't have to do these by hand, but there is our frequency polygon without the histogram. And now we have one last thing to talk about, which is a stem and leaf plot. So I'm gonna put that away. And we got stem and leaf plot, and this will be the end of our video. Let's finish this. So here's what we want to do. We want to create a stem and leaf plot, and I'm going to use that set of data from earlier because it's already here. And as I work through this one, I'll show you how to do the stem and leaf. And in fact, it's titled Stem and Leaves. So the leaves are the ones place, if you remember that. That's the last digit. And then this is everything else. Everything in front. Everything else in front. For example. All right. I think what I'm going to do is I am going to take this same data, the same page I've got, and I'm going to circle these in green. I know that there are two, using what I've got here, I know that there are two values between 41 and 45. So let me find those. Between 41 and 50, I'm sorry, 41 and 45. 42, 43. Those are the only ones between 41 and 45. Now, the ones place here is a 2. So I put those in smallest to largest. Actually, you don't have to. I noticed the book has both. So those are my leaves, the 2 and the 3. And then the 4 goes here. Okay. Now, my next digit up is 5. Now I'm going to take everything between 50 to, oh, I still got some more, I'm sorry. I want everything with the 4. So let's do that. Anything with the 4. So I don't need this table. Anything with the, like 4 in front. 49. That guy gets, got to put that here. 48. I'm just listing them all. 46. 49. 47. Already had that 42. 46 and 47. What I'm doing is I put the tens digit, in this case, it only went up to 10, 40, 50, 60, 70. And everything else is, then we just keep going. So then 50. Anything with the 50 something. 57. There's 3 of those. I list them all. Well, there may be more, but I'm just going to list everything. 58, 57 again. And you try to keep these in line because this gives us some kind of representation of the data as well. 54, 51. 50, 52, 56, 52, 6. I have a lot of these. 50. Okay, went away for a minute. 54, 50. 54, 50, 55, 55. And if I forgot something along the way, I can go back and add it. All of these are 5s. Wow. 4, 6, 5, 1. Okay, looks like I'm about to run out of space. Okay. So I'm going to list them out. I'm going to just continue on this sheet of paper. These are lots of 50s. 54, 54, 51, 55, 56, 52, and 54. Okay. That's a lot. I'm allowed to extend my paper. I probably would have started further to the left if I had thought ahead. Well, that takes up most of them. So when I get to 60, I'm just looking at the data, 61, 61, 68, 64. This will just about wrap it up once I get through the 60s. 65, 60 and 62, 61, 69, 64. That is all the 60s. And then finally, we get to 7, there's only 70. Okay. So that should add up to 45. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17. 45. Okay. So that is a stem and leaf plot. It's not the most beautiful, but there you go. Okay. So we're going to stop the video there. That pretty much wraps up 12.1.